Thank you, Laura. Well, in an age where marriages are failing at a staggering rate, my guests say that going from breakdown to breakthrough is possible. In fact, they offer a guaranteed result through their marriage mentorship program. For many years, Pastor Jeeva and Sulojana Sam have been helping couples navigate the sometimes difficult waters of marriage. They're also best-selling authors of the book, The Unbreakable Marriage, and they've got some great wisdom for us today. Welcome back to 100 Huntley Street, Jeeva and Sulojana.
Thank you. Great to be back.
It's so good to have you. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate you on 41 years of marriage, a marriage that was arranged, by the way.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just for our viewers, what might be a unique dynamic in a marriage that's arranged versus ones that sort of come together more in the Western way?
I think the parents are more involved in our, bringing us together. And, they look at things from a different perspective. No emotions involved. So in our culture here, there's so much, emotions involved. And one advice is, seek the advice of, somebody that you trust, a leader, a pastor, in making those kind of decisions. Mm-hmm. That's what I, feel is different in an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the Indian culture, marriage is seen as the coming together of two families, not just two individuals. And so the family backgrounds matter a lot. And, and we grow up trusting our parents to do the due diligence and to look for those factors that they know, because they know the children better than anybody else.
It's true.
When we bring these two together, they can make it work.
And I guess there's a compatibility between families that's established before the two to be married come together, and that can often be a bone of contention in newlyweds and their experience if perhaps they've come together on their own, which is common for the Western culture. This is a week where we focus on love and all the feelings associated with Valentine's Day. But for many couples, they are feeling anything but love. Just how prevalent are issues in our marriages today?
Go ahead.
I feel like love is a choice. We hardly knew each other, but we chose to love each other. Just like, God chose to love us. No matter what we go through, what we do, all the sin we commit, in spite of all of that, God still loves us. And the same thing in a marriage too, you make a decision, make a commitment, make a choice to love. And, it just takes over.
You say, I do once, but you say, I will make this work. Maybe 10,000, 100,000, million times in the marriage.
I do once, but I will a million times. In your marriage mentorship, which I love the way you frame that, what are you noticing are the major factors contributing to the breakdown in our marriages?
Yeah. So when couples come to us, there are a few common elements that we notice. Number one, they may not be talking to each other because they're not communicating anymore. And here are the people who, through courtship, could not wait to be with each other for 6 hours, come back, and then get on the phone for 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, the communication isn't there. They have difficulty resolving conflict. And the ones that couldn't keep their hands off each other now have adopted a hands-free policy. So they don't even want to sometimes look at each other when they come to see us, let alone touch each other or have any kind of intimacy.
Yeah, the other thing too, all the baggage they are bringing from their childhood, going back, to their childhood, it can be trauma, abuse, or even broken previous relationships. If they are not healed, those unhealed hurts that they bring into the marriage can cause, marriage problems.
It's amazing how long a marriage can go before these issues start to arise and become really problematic. And I want to go to the communication thing for a second, because it seems absolutely ridiculous, and yet it's so common. Why would the person that you are to love the most or be most concerned with their well-being, why would you stop communicating with them? Why do we stop talking and being open with each other?
Yeah, and I think you just hit the right word there. The word is being open. Like one of the things that we teach in our process with communication is transparency.
Yeah.
And so when you start compromising transparency, when you start keeping things to yourself, don't share everything that is going on, then you essentially get into a pattern. Right. And I would say the pattern actually becomes a stronghold, and then it becomes very difficult to break. And so that's when the distance between the two keeps on going, increasing and increasing, and all of a sudden it's like we're sharing the same roof, but that's about all we're sharing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We know, now going back to 2020, COVID wreaked havoc on our mental health and relationships. Are we still dealing with the fallout of that, do you think, even 5 years later? Is that what you're noticing in your practice?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah. Some of the things they went through, they didn't deal with it, and it was like swept under the rug. And now, all of a sudden, they are getting to a point, they need some help. And so we're getting some people who are coming to us. And
yeah, like sometimes, people talk about, well, COVID caused a crisis in marriage. It didn't. COVID actually exposed the cracks in your marriage.
Right.
Yeah. And so if somebody was willing to confront it honestly and openly and seek the help that they needed at that point, but the thing about COVID was everybody thought, oh, it's all going to be over next month. And so there was this huge avoidance. And then all of a sudden, you're back to normal life, and the issues haven't gone away. The only problem was because they were not dealt with during COVID, everything has reached a higher level of intensity. We actually were talking to a family lawyer, and he said, well, the big difference I noticed since COVID, or even during COVID, is we didn't notice an increase in divorces, but we noticed an increase in the intensity of the people seeking divorce. They want to get it over and done with like right now, because they couldn't put up with this anymore, so get me out of here quickly.
Okay, so we've delivered all the maybe less than good news about marriage and relationships. Let's talk to the young couple right now that is considering making that next step together. What would be your advice to them before they make that commitment in marriage?
Yeah, there's help out there. Don't suffer alone. If you know, and don't wait too long till it gets really bad. Get in touch with your pastor or somebody in your family that you trust, and get the help that you that you need. Most of all, pray. Pray together. God has a solution to all our problems, and go to Him first. And your marriage will can be restored.
Yeah. And
can I just interject for a second? Is it too early for young couples that haven't committed to each other in marriage yet to start having the really transparent conversations about their history, about their trauma, about the baggage they're bringing in? Is that something they should be addressing right at the get-go?
Absolutely, yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the ways in which God showed us that we're going to save 50,000 marriages from divorce is by starting with couples before they get married.
Right.
And equip them with the tools that they need, help them to get cleaned up of past hurts. So when they come in, see, a lot of times when people come to us, they're talking about the baggage or the hurts that were inflicted in the marriage. But what they really need to confront is the baggage they brought into the marriage. Right. Because when that's taken care of, and you relate to each other as two healed people, that's like heaven on earth. If you're really dealing with as two hurt people, you're going to end up hurting each other, and you won't even feel bad about it.
Yeah. You talk a lot about prayer and seeking counsel with your pastor, with a Christian counselor. What makes the biblical approach to your marriage mentorship program so effective? And how has the Bible been utilized to tailor your approach to this ministry?
Well, everything we do is scriptural. Like one of the most common aspects of marriage where people mess up is in alignment.
Right.
Because there is a biblical alignment for marriage that God has prescribed. And when you are out of the alignment, it's like a car that's out of alignment. You're going to veer off the highway of life, and you'll end up in the ditch called divorce. And so alignment is something that we teach that is biblically sound. Intimacy with God, which is all over Scripture. See, before you can really experience intimacy with each other, if you both are intimate with God, in developing that intimacy, you are getting closer to each other.
Yes. Yeah. And it changes everything when Christ becomes the center. Just in our couple of minutes left that we have here together, is there a success story maybe that stands out to you that you could share with us really briefly of a couple that's come to you? Perhaps a couple that's been like down the road in terms of years of marriage together. You know, like we're talking 20, 30 years, and they were living a stagnant marital existence, but God did something miraculous in their relationship.
Well, I'll start the story and then Sulojana can jump in. So a couple came to us, I believe they were married for 26 years at the time, and she described afterwards, we were like two porcupines together. You know, we were together, but we couldn't be together without hurting each other.
Right.
Yeah. And so what actually happened was, like, they were both godly people and started off the marriage properly, but they had allowed neglect to set in. They had developed some patterns that were not healthy, and they forgot to, develop patterns that were healthy and godly and kept them together. As a matter of fact, once they finished the mentorship and got the breakthrough, one of the things she said, we're actually doing Bible study together and praying together.
And the intimacy was not there. And, after going through our mentorship, they were intimate again. And like Jeeva said, and they were in business together. And their business started growing, once they got the marriage together. So the blessings, of God was flowing as they got, their marriage together.
The ripple effect is just almost more than they could expect. Just one more moment here that we have together. For the couple that's ready to call it quits, what would be the one piece of advice or counsel that you'd give them, either one of you? Just some advice that you would give them to give them something to hold on to, that there's still hope.
Stop before you rush into it. Just take stock. Okay. So for example, we had this conversation with a couple the other day. They're close to 40. So I said, statistically, you're going to both live for another 40 plus years. And right now it looks like there's no way, that you can fix everything. What if you took a year or maybe even 2 years to work on things, get them back on track? You're still going to have 40 years of wedded bliss.
Yes. And
so you got to look at it, that perspective. And as Sulojana said earlier, there's always hope. And there's help. And ask for the help as early as you possibly can. Don't let things, get even worse before you get to the point where divorce looks like the only option.
Yes, and we want to put up a link to your ministry site that has some really great resources for people to get a hold of you, a place to start on this journey. The resounding message is from both of you, and we're so thankful to have you on the program today, is that there is hope. So don't give up, folks. Learning how to access God's power along with implementing biblical principles and tools is the key to experiencing health in our marriages. It is possible. Thank you, Jeeva, Sulojana, for being with us today. You have given hope to so many of our viewers today. God bless you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate the opportunity.